in his vintage plane, and only on 8, they also grabbed his autograph just before he flew from Hillsborough.
I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. It's unreal. I just talked to him. It was insane. It was incredible. It was horrible. It was a bunch of different words that were completely indescribable.
Keenan Brown describes a moment he'll never forget. He and his friend Cabbot Sanders, both fans of vintage planes, had just grabbed the signature of the pilot of that Hawker Hunter moments before he flew away. They watched it take off and then disappear behind the trees.
He just signed it, and then we saw him go under. It was like, oh my gosh, that's him, and he's really hurt.
This home video shows what thousands saw. Witnesses reported seeing the aircraft pulling to the right near the trees. Bill Wickert started flying in 1980 and says it looks as though the pilot was attempting what's called a slip maneuver to rapidly lose altitude and make a safe emergency landing on a nearby field.
You bank the plane to the right by turning the stick, but at the same time, instead of stepping on the right rudder, which would normally swerve the plane nicely to the right for a turn, you step on the left rudder, and the two of those arguing with each other reduce the aerodynamic, not the stability, but the efficiency of the plane, so that instead of making a nice glide, you tend to lose altitude.
He tells me the pilot is a hero for trying to save lives with a difficult last-minute maneuver.
The thing I really feel bad about is his last thought could well have been, I've just killed a family. And he doesn't deserve that.
Miraculously, no one in any of those 4 homes was hurt. Of course, we'll learn exactly what happened once the NTSB releases its findings. Tracy.
Thank you, Amy. Here is the bottom line on tonight's air show crash. It happened at about 4:28 this afternoon after the plane took off from the Hillsborough airport. The plane crashed into a nearby neighborhood. It destroyed 1 home, damaged 3 others. The only person who died was the plane's pilot. Authorities have not released the pilot's name. You can go to KGW.com for on-demand coverage of the air show crash. You can see the home video, listen to witnesses describe the scene, plus watch a slideshow. Get more information about the Hawker Hunter plane and some background details about its owner. Our coverage of this story is just getting started. You've seen this home video of the plane taking off and crashing. After the break, we will hear from the man who shot it and find out when he knew something was wrong.
Plus, this isn't the first crash at the Hillsborough airport, but there haven't been many. We'll look back at the 4 crashes there since the 1960s.
The Hawker Hunter spent the weekend as an exhibit during the air show. It took off today. It was heading home to Southern California. It crashed into the house just minutes later. The smoke could be seen for miles as far away as Vancouver. Firefighters were on the scene in minutes, battling the fire and the heat. We'll be right back. Of Baum Headland is Robin McCall. Ms. McCall, thank you very much. Apparently, the pilot of this plane was 73-year-old
Robert Guilford. Is that correct, Ms. McCall?
Yes.
What can you tell us about Mr. Guilford?
He was probably one of the funnest attorneys to work with, and what I mean is he always had a great attitude, just very cheerful and, fun to be around, loved flying, always was bringing in pictures of his plane and stuff he'd been doing out in air shows, and it's been so part of the fabric of his life that
We can tell you're very broken up about it. This must be very difficult news for you and your law firm. How did you hear the news? I
heard through our office manager, and of course the phone tree. Everybody's been dealing with it all night, and we're in shock. We're devastated. He was an amazing person, a wonderful attorney, an incredible pilot, and
Ms. McCall, we certainly want to send our sympathies, and we have had several eyewitnesses tell us that certainly he made a heroic effort to land that plane as far away from as many people as he could, and I hope that is some consolation to those of you who knew him well and loved him.
Well, yes, we're very, very, it's very fortunate he didn't, kill anyone else when he crashed that plane, and we're we can't believe it. It's an unbelievable loss.
We want to send our sympathies to you and your law firm and to his family and everyone who knew him there in Southern California. Thank you for joining us on the telephone, Robin McCall, for joining us from the law firm there in Los Angeles. And we want to confirm again, 73-year-old Robert Guilford, the pilot of that Hawker Hunter that crashed today at the Hillsborough Air Show, killing Mr. Guilford, but no one else on the ground.
A very experienced pilot. He'd flown more than 4,000 hours, was qualified to fly several different kinds of planes, and was heavily involved with a lot of vintage aircraft and preserving them. So once again, 73-year-old Robert Guilford was killed in that plane crash today.
It sounds like he was very much beloved in his hometown. We'll be right back.